I'm Brandon Jones, your host, delivering the straight facts without the spin, no matter how uncomfortable they get. It's February 25, 2026. Yesterday marked exactly 4 years since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began on February 24, 2022. 4 years of air raid sirens that haven't stopped in many cities. 4 years of homes turned to rubble, families displaced, and a continent reshaped by conflict. Over 1 million casualties combined, economies strained, global food and energy prices disrupted, all stemming from one man's decision to launch an unprovoked war. But this isn't just a military conflict. It's built on a mountain of deliberate lies. Vladimir Putin has used state media, speeches, and endless propaganda to sell aggression as self-defense, to deny reality on the ground, and to keep domestic support afloat while the world watches the truth emerge. Today, in this special deep dive episode, we're breaking down Putin's top 10 lies on Ukraine, the most repeated, most damaging falsehoods from his pre-invasion buildup through today. These come straight from Putin's addresses, like his February 21st and 24, 2022 speeches, his essays denying Ukrainian history, and ongoing Kremlin messaging, all debunked by UN reports, OSCE monitors, independent fact-checkers, Western intelligence, and the undeniable evidence of satellite imagery, eyewitness accounts, and battlefield realities. We're going segment by segment, no fluff, just the claim, the facts, and why it matters 4 years in. Let's get into it. Lie number 1. No plans to invade Ukraine. Right up to the final days, December 2021 through February 2022, Putin, Foreign Minister Lavrov, and spokespeople like Dmitry Peskov insisted Russia had no aggressive intentions. They called Western troop buildup warnings hysteria, fake news, and provocations. Putin even said in December 2021 that Russia doesn't threaten anyone and preferred diplomacy. But intelligence from the US, UK, and others showed troop concentrations starting in spring 2021, over 100,000 soldiers, tanks, artillery massed along borders. Plans for regime change in Kyiv were discussed internally by late 2021. Invasion happened February 24th. Putin later admitted in documentaries that preparations were underway months earlier. This lie set the tone. Deny everything until the tanks roll. It bought time, sowed doubt in the West, and kept surprise on Russia's side initially. Lie number 2. Ukraine is committing genocide against Russian speakers in Donbass. Putin hammered this since 2014, but made it central in his February 21, 2022 speech recognizing the so-called Donetsk and Luhansk republics. He claimed genocide by the Kyiv regime for 8 years, mass killings, shelling civilians, ethnic cleansing of Russian speakers. No international body, UN Human Rights Council, OSCE monitors on the ground since 2014, International Court of Justice, or genocide scholars has found evidence of genocide. The term requires intent to destroy a group in whole or part. Conflict deaths in Donbass, mostly military, were tragic but not systematic extermination. Shelling happened on both sides in a low-intensity war Russia fueled by arming separatists. This lie humanized the invasion as rescue, echoing Russia's 2008 Georgia pretext. 4 years later, it's still repeated to justify occupation. Lie number 3. Ukraine is run by neo-Nazis who need denazification. Putin called Ukraine's leaders a gang of drug addicts and neo-Nazis in his invasion speech. The special military operation aimed at denazification, rooting out alleged Nazi ideology controlling the state. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is Jewish, lost family in the Holocaust. Parliamentary far-right parties poll under 2 to 3%. Azov Battalion, with some neo-Nazi origins, was integrated into the military, but represents a tiny fraction. No evidence of state-level Nazi policy. Groups like the Simon Wiesenthal Center and Holocaust Memorials condemned the rhetoric as Holocaust distortion. This revives World War II trauma for Russians, framing invasion as moral crusade against fascism. Ironic, given Russia's alliances and tactics. Lie number 4. Ukraine has no real statehood. It's artificial, created by Lenin/Bolsheviks. In his July 2021 essay and repeated speeches, Putin claimed Ukrainians and Russians are one people, Ukraine invented by Lenin as a Soviet mistake. No true sovereignty or nationhood without Russia. Modern Ukraine is a failed state or Western puppet. Ukrainian identity traces to Kievan Rus, 9th–13th centuries, Cossack hetmanate, 19th century cultural revival, and independence struggles pre-1917. It declared independence in 1918, briefly, survived Soviet famines and purges, and voted overwhelmingly for independence in 1991 referendum, including in eastern regions. This erases Ukrainian agency, justifies imperialism as reunification. It underpins annexations and refusal to recognize borders. Lie number 5. Russia is not occupying Ukrainian territory. No plans to occupy. Invasion Day speech. It is not our plan to occupy Ukrainian territory. Echoed 2014 Crimea denials. Little green men weren't Russian troops. Putin admitted later they were. Russia now occupies 18 to 20% of Ukraine. Crimea, annexed 2014. Parts of Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, Zaporizhia, sham annexed 2022. Puppet administrations, forced Russian passports, referendums under gunpoint. Clear occupation by international law standards. Lie number 6. NATO aggression and encirclement forced Russia's hand. Putin called NATO expansion an existential threat, red line, missiles on borders, war machine aimed at Russia. Ukraine's potential membership justified preemptive action. NATO is defensive alliance, no offensive plans against Russia. Post-Cold War expansions responded to Eastern European fears of Russian revanchism, for example, after Georgia 2008. No Ukraine membership path imminent pre-2022. NATO offered no bases there. Russia invaded anyway. Lie number 7. This is a limited, special military operation to protect people. Framed as targeted demilitarization and protection, not war, not conquest. Full-scale, multi-front assault on Kyiv, Kharkiv, Mariupol, territorial annexations, civilian infrastructure strikes, hundreds of thousands casualties, millions displaced. Limited became total war rhetoric. Lie number 8. Ukraine West provoked it. Shelling Donbass, biolabs, NATO provocations. Claims of Ukrainian attacks on Donbass, secret U.S. bioweapons labs, NATO goading. Russia amassed troops first. Biolabs were routine public health research, debunked by WHO. Donbass shelling in ongoing conflict Russia sustained via proxies. Lie number 9. Russia targets only military, no civilians, precision strikes. Precision ops only, no deliberate civilian harm. Thousands documented civilian deaths. Hospitals, Mariupol maternity, theaters, shelters, schools, apartments. UN, Amnesty, HRW reports show indiscriminate cluster munitions use. Lie number 10. The war is going according to plan. Russia is winning decisively. Repeated. Rapid victory inevitable. Minimal setbacks. Ukraine collapsing. 4 years. Stalemate in many areas. Massive Russian losses. Estimates over 1 million combined casualties. Sanctions biting economy. Inflation, tech shortages. No major breakthroughs despite mobilization. Ukraine holds most territory, receives aid, inflicts attrition. 4 years later, these lies aren't just words. They're the architecture of destruction. They justified missiles on cities, families torn apart, and a generation scarred. Putin's propaganda machine still runs full throttle, but cracks show. Battlefield reality, economic strain, even domestic whispers of fatigue. Ukraine endures because truth outlasts lies. The world sees through the fog, thanks to open sources, brave journalists, and Ukrainians documenting every atrocity. If this episode hit you, subscribe to BJ Bulletin for more unfiltered takes. Share your thoughts. Which lie still circulates most in your feeds? DM me or comment. Next time, we'll tackle fresh headlines, maybe SO2 fallout or storm recovery. Stay vigilant, stay informed. This is Brandon Jones on BJ Bulletin,